Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Larry Bell to the National Reined Cowhorse Association's Hall of Merit. Larry Bell grew up in Roswell, New Mexico. His father's side of the family had been raised on a ranch in southern New Mexico, but after returning from World War II, Larry's father had gone into accounting in Roswell, not far from the ranch.
So as a young man growing up, I got a chance to sort of have in a way, in my mind, the best of both worlds. I grew up in town. We had a flushing toilet, but every other weekend, typically, we would go to the ranch, which was just a couple hours away, and meet up with some of my uncles and some of my cousins and what have you, and we'd work cattle. Everybody would show up around branding time during the year. The rest of the time, we'd just come in and help with feeding and fixing fence and checking windmills and doing the kind of things that you do on a small family ranch like that.
Larry loved the ranch and was also involved in sports, Boy Scouts, his church youth group, and even helped his father with accounting through high school.
My parents didn't have a lot, but we had enough, and we were very comfortable, and my parents were the kind of folks that they were very involved in our church. And they were also involved in the community and different service organizations and what have you. And so when I was a young man in junior high and high school, I got involved in some of the organizations at school, primarily class officer and student council.
He didn't realize it at the time, but his parents' community involvement had been shaping Larry into the person he would be for the rest of his life. He attended Eastern New Mexico University, and his involvement continued.
And same thing, built some very special and unique relationships and friendships, but also got a chance to be involved in student government and organizations, and learning how to prioritize common objectives and try to figure out how to make things work. And because I had a strong background in accounting and what have you, I learned that most of that stuff needs money.
While in college, Larry met Ellen Parks, and in 1971 they married and moved to Midland, Texas.
While I was in college, I met Ellen. Ellen was from Midland. Ellen's family had also been multi-generational in ranching business, not only in the West Texas area and the Midland, Odessa area, but her mother's side of the family was very involved in ranching in the panhandle of Texas. So deep roots in Texas and ranching, and something that I loved. So when Ellen and I started dating, and I'd get a chance to go to Midland.
Larry loved Midland, as it offered him a well-rounded lifestyle like he had in his youth.
I had a chance to not only continue to be involved in the agricultural business, be involved in the ranch, be involved with horses, but also have a chance to be involved in business and planning. And I did the same thing throughout my adulthood in Midland. I've been involved in a lot of organizations. I was taught with my parents and grandparents about volunteering and about being a part of an organization and being the guy on the street that comes in and does all the work, but also over time becoming more and more interested and more knowledgeable and taking on the opportunity to become a board member or involved in leadership.
And that's exactly what Larry did. While working at an accounting firm, he served on the Junior Chamber of Commerce Board in his late 20s, and by the time he'd turned 33, was the president of the Midland Chamber of Commerce. He truly loved helping people and helped the city to grow.
All these different boards that I would sit on, Salvation Army, Big Brothers Big Sisters, Arthritis Foundation, United Way, multiple other boards and all that I was involved with. So it was a chance to interact with those people on different ways and different boards.
And if Larry wasn't busy enough with all of the community involvement and a growing land development, construction, and oil and gas business, a new venture was added to his plate.
While I was working for the accounting firm in the mid-70s, Ellen's father got ill and needed some help with his business operations. The family had ranching operations in West Texas, had a large ranch up in the Panhandle of Texas. We had another large ranch up in northeastern New Mexico, and we also had a ranch in Australia.
Larry was tasked with looking after the office's budgets, finances, ranch in New Mexico, and Australia.
But the name of the ranch was Cow Power Station, and that's a part of the story as 20 years later, as a family, when we decided to start up our own small family horse operation, we decided to call ourselves Cow Power Quarter Horses.
Larry and Ellen eventually bought a ranch in Alpine, Texas, where they could start breeding some good horses. But even though he'd been around horses all of his life, Larry had very little experience with well-bred ones. But Ellen's side of the family was rooted deep in the industry.
Ellen's family has been involved in the quarter horse business since the beginning. Ellen's grandfather, Roy Parks, was one of the original organizers here in Fort Worth in the early 40s when they first started organizing the Quarter Horse Association. Served on its board for many, many, many years, and in fact was president of the NRCHA in 1960.
One of their goals was to breed some great ranch horses from the good mares they'd collected, and that led them to Gainesville, Texas to look at stallions.
And so I started kind of tracing out some of those bloodlines and recognized that all of a sudden I realized that almost every one of those horses at some point came through the Ward Ranch in California.
The Bell family had been breeding cutters and reiners, but Larry was told he needed to see the snaffle bit for Turdy. So in 1998, he headed to Fresno and watched the master, Greg Ward, win the Open.
So I went back to Texas and reported back to my family that this is something that we need to learn more about and take a serious look at in terms of our breeding program, and also maybe think about sending a horse or two out to Ward Ranch to see if we could maybe get them trained and get them shown and do a little bit of this Reined cow horse.
Within a few months after that, the Bells sent two of their good young prospects to John Ward and put them in training. One of those horses, a filly by Mr. Dualpep named I'm a Little Dualpep, ended up a world champion in the non-pro hackamore at the very first NRCHA World Show in Stephenville, Texas in 2004. With their horses in California and not wanting to travel halfway across the country just to see a show, Larry started looking around to see what cow horse activities he could find regionally.
I got introduced to the SRCHA because we just wanted to see if we could find good horse shows to go to. We really weren't thinking about, our trainers were in California. We weren't really thinking too much about being involved in the showing side of it and what have you. We just thought it was something that if we could, and we could go see some cow horse shows in Texas or Oklahoma or somewhere close, that it would be a lot of fun.
With their sons Matthew and Brian at TCU and daughter Amy going to school in Stephenville, they decided to sell the ranch in Alpine in 2003 and move to Weatherford to be closer to them and the core of the horse industry. And with their belief of supporting what they love, they were soon sponsors of the Southwest Reined Cow Horse Association, eventually stepping up to be the title sponsor for the fraternity in order to help it grow.
I told Nina, I said, Nina, we'd be very interested in coming on board and being the title sponsor for this Southwest fraternity. But I said, you need to understand one thing about us. If we're going to put our name on it, we're going to want to be involved in it. And I said, I can tell you right now, I don't know anything about how to run a show. I don't know how to run a show office. I don't know how to organize the cattle and the judges and the grounds and all those other kind of things. I don't know anything about any of that. But if we're going to put our money in it, we want to learn about it, and we also want to be there and be supportive and be the volunteers. I'd learned very early in my life that there were great organizations around, and there were great organizations to be a part of, and they all need volunteers. And I didn't want to be in the way. I didn't want to be a problem, but I did want to be there and be involved and learn and try to do everything I could to make it a success.
Larry became a board member of the SRCHA and NRCHA, eventually serving as the Southwest president and NRCHA's vice president. During his time on the NRCHA board, the NRCHA World Show was created, and he stepped up as the first title sponsor under their ranch name, Cow Power Quarter Horses. Larry had learned about contributing and paying it forward from his parents, and he definitely instilled that philosophy in his children too.
My daughter Amy had gone to the snaffle bit fraternity in Reno, and I was unable to make the trip that year. And I remember her calling me. She said, "Hey, Dad, I just wanted to let you know that I spent some of your money." And I'm going like, I thought she bought a horse. I had no idea what she was talking about. But I said, "Oh, really?" He said, "What's that?" And she said, "Well, I just got through talking to Jay Winburn, and they're going to be moving the World's Greatest Horseman to Fort Worth." And so I told him, "We want to be a sponsor." And I said, "That's great, honey." I said, "You did a good thing. Absolutely, we'd want to be involved. We'd want to be sure and be a sponsor of that." And as it turned out, we ended up being the name sponsor for that first year in Fort Worth. And it was a very special thing for us because Amy had showed some cow horse. She won a championship in Reno, and she won a reserve championship also in Reno. And during that conversation, she said, "Well, Dad, what's really special about this is now I get to show all my cutting horse friends just how special the cow horse is."
The Bell family's contributions have reached far beyond the horse industry. They have a strong desire to support their passions and help them grow.
The rest of it really is a story of me being involved in enough organizations and groups and what have you through the years that I just understand that these things just don't happen by accident. It takes a strong organization. It takes talented, informed, knowledgeable people, and it takes money. I mean, you just simply cannot do these things at a quality and to a level that will draw more to you if you don't do it well. And to do it well, it takes money. We just love the event. We love the horses and we love the people. We have a saying in our family about pay it forward, where we're just trying to pay it forward to our friends and family about learning all about what a wonderful thing this Reined cow horse business is. And
the Bell family has had horses with many trainers and has sponsored shows all across the country in that spirit of paying it forward.
It's part of our calling, it's part of what we do, and it takes money, so we just want to be a part of a team to bring that whatever kind of support we can to that part of it.
Larry, along with his entire family, have gone above and beyond to selfishly support the Reined cow horse industry, and we're fortunate to have them as members and friends.
Yeah, we didn't get in it to make money. We didn't get in it to build a name and a reputation for ourselves. We didn't get it in it. We just got involved because it was a really fun thing to watch, and we got a chance to meet some really wonderful people. And these things don't just happen without some effort and without resources and without support. So that's one area that we felt like that we could provide not only moral support but financial support, and we're thrilled to be a part of it.
We welcome Larry Bell to the National Reined Cow Horse Association's Hall of Merit.